Welcome to the Five Tools Show. Today's going to be crazy. Today we're going to talk about Ohtani, the Ohtani scandal. I don't even know where to begin. What do you think about it? Like, what's the question? Let's do some questions. What questions you got for Ohtani?
The question I have is, I think like most people, but you know, there's people that have questions that are civilians, and then there's people that have questions on kind of the street side, right? I mean, because the way they're portraying it, it doesn't sound like it's just a one-lane highway. It sounds like there's multiple, exits with this thing. So like having a guy that he's this close to, bro, listen, we've all been around friends that were into stuff, right? We grew up, we all had someone next to us, close to us, that were involved in things. And bro, even if you weren't close to someone, you knew what someone was doing, right? Like, how can Ohtani not have a clue? And my thing is, how are they going to listen? If I had to sum everything up, listen, I'm not saying, we're just speculating, right? This is our opinion. This is, I don't know anything. I'm not involved with anything. For me, it seems the way it happened is that maybe Ohtani had something to do with it, and this guy's the fall guy. Bottom line, it's just, I mean, I don't know. That could be the case. Obviously, hey, this kid could have been doing some crooked stuff behind his back, but it just doesn't, when you first hear something and you take a minute to reflect, and then you go, something ain't right, man. Something ain't right. I mean, we talked about that initially, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just at that point where I'm like, this kid has, listen, in a perfect world, if I was that guy, and I know my man who's one of the biggest dudes in all the sports, if I had to take the fall and go away and come home to 10 mil, sign me up, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be real. Because MLB is not going to lose Ohtani.
Let me ask you some questions. These are the questions that I had. First of all, who do you know that gives access to anyone's bank account? I mean, me and my wife have a joint account, but I don't have access to her personal one. She doesn't have access to mine. Like, not that I wouldn't, but that's a spouse, maybe a family member that's in need or something like that. But how does this guy have access to his bank account? For what I've understood, this guy makes maybe between $300,000 and $500,000 a year. Mr. Ipe, the translator for Shohei Ohtani. Okay. So this is the thing that caught me, okay? You're making $500,000 a year. That's a lot of money. But how could you possibly get into that kind of debt? Because let's look at it like this, right? Let's say he's 10 times what he makes a year in debt, 5 mil almost, right? When all said and done. That would be like somebody who makes $100,000 that's $1 million in debt. Do you know anyone who makes $100,000 that's $1 million in gambling debt?
Joe,
bro, people in the street make like 70, 80,000 doing illegal stuff. They don't pay taxes. They're not $1 million in debt. If you make 100K and you're 30K in debt, that's a crisis. Almost a third of your money is you're stuck for. But the idea that somebody who made $500,000 could get themselves into $5 million of debt is insane to me, bro. Go ahead.
But now we're going on to the street side. So, if somebody from the street is giving out, if they gave this kid, whatever, you got this line of money or whatever, you're Ohtani's man. All right, cool. But bro, after a while, they're going to be like, go make sure your man pays me if you can't. Like, how long of a run can someone have? You know what I'm saying? And first of all, like what on the question before that, only financial advisors have access to dudes' accounts like to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like you said, your wife, like who has access to this type of dough that you could just go in there? You know what I'm saying? I don't care how much money Ohtani has. It doesn't matter. You're telling me he doesn't know? You know what I'm saying? Listen, when these guys like Bernie Madoff and these guys do stuff, it's different because you're in charge of their money. This dude's not in charge of Ohtani's money.
Right.
No,
right. That's a great point.
So it's a different thing. If it's a financial advisor doing that, listen, if it happens, it's almost like, all right, well, they trusted too much. They didn't look at their account. The guy, whatever, you're making this amount of money. if you lose a few million, listen, we've heard that it happened to many people, but from him, like, it's, bro,
Right.
these things, when things don't add up, just like the way in anything, whether it's sports, business, politics, life, anything, relationships, if it doesn't add up, something is not right. And listen, it might never come out, but something is not right. And a normal person might just overlook things, but if you have a little street background and you've been around, how bookies work and different things, bro, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. You know what I'm saying?
No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't add up because, to your point, and the great answer to the question that I think is common sense to most people is that when you're talking about you make $500,000, you got yourself into $4.5 million in debt. That means that somebody thinks that you're good for that money, which makes me speculate. I'm not gonna accuse anybody. Let me say this: there's a wide spectrum of people. On one end, they're like, Ohtani didn't do anything. On the other end, they're like, Ohtani's betting on baseball. He's a degenerate gambler. The truth is somewhere within that, absolutely. But the idea that this guy would be able to get that kind of, be able to get into that type of debt, which I'm going to get into in one more second. Now, here's the other thing. Wire transfers. How, listen, bro, a wire transfer, if you're going to, as you probably know, and people may not know this, but if you put money into the bank's fine. Well, they'll take your money. But when it comes to taking money out of the bank, they literally will ask you questions. You have to fill out forms. When you're taking $500K out of somebody's bank, you can bet that the president of the bank is like, oh, really? $500K? Okay, maybe once, twice. This was 9 transactions, 9 times 5 to come to that $4.5 million number. If you're telling me that Ohtani didn't know that that kind of paper was floating out of his account, bro, it's not like, you went out and you bought some food and you looked at your bank statement and, oh man, I spent extra money on food, a bit, whatever. You're talking about a massive amount of money. It's ridiculous. I have a serious problem with that. What do you think about that? Like, when you try to do a bank account, I'm sorry, when you try to do a bank transfer, you may have, if you're going to do that kind of money, you may have to show your face at the bank, bro. You may have to go down to the bank and be like,
Joe,
hey,
they're not saying like what type of access this kid had and how did he get the access. And because like, if you didn't know, bro, listen, when something comes out of my account, that's $150, I get an alert.
Right.
So you're telling me this guy is just, whether it's, listen, all right, it's Ohtani, you're busy, but these guys check their phones come on, let's be real. Everybody's on their phone. So you tell me this guy has no alerts to nothing? No one has it? No, his financial advisors, no one has agent, no one has alerts that something was like, that's the side of it where it just doesn't make sense. I don't care how important you are. I don't care. Everybody's on their phone, bro. Everybody gets alerts. Everybody knows what's up. These are the things that it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? The only way you can get around that, like I said, if you were a financial advisor or you're someone who's taking care of the money, right? Then it becomes where, all right, he got the alert. He did it. He got the alert. He never saw it. Then all right, I get it. But like, how did this guy, like, I don't know. And listen, for everybody out there that's saying we're like throwing Ohtani, this has not, these are opinions. These are just like what we feel, just like millions of people feel. It could come out and this guy did do something. But what I'm saying is the way it is, it makes you have these, we could talk all day about it. Because listen, we know how shit works, bro. We know, and we, especially with bookies like that, come on, bro. It just, right. I don't know. I love Ohtani. Oh, I think he's great for the game, and I would never want to see anything happen. But the thing is, at the end of the day, nothing is going to happen. Because Major League Baseball cannot afford to lose Ohtani at any point. He cannot get slandered. His name cannot go. He can't go away for a year. He can't get suspended. He can't.
For gambling, can you imagine?
That's what I'm saying.
I agree 1,000,000%.
You know what I'm saying? And the way the world is now, it's like, bro, listen, for MLB to have, listen, especially now, right? It's not like, the Dodgers, a new contract. It's just like, it's crazy that it's even happening, but man, it's a lot, man. It's funny, ever since it came out, I feel like it's just everything went like, you don't even hear anything anymore about like any details with anything. It's just weird. It's just, everything's just like, all right, it's opening day. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah. Major League Baseball is definitely limiting. Their first thing was, the statement was, we're not investigating Shohei Ohtani in any kind of. That was their first thing. It's like, really? Wow, that was the first thing they said. Then they changed their story, just like Mr. Ipe changed his story. And Joe, going back to what we were saying, to give it more of a street perspective, and the way it works with that business, it's like, okay, so you're telling me now this is a street operation. First of all, what kind of street operation could take that kind of action, bro? 4.5 mil, that's crazy. That's a crazy street operation. That's number one.
Joe, this is not the 80s and the 90s when things, bro, it's not the same. And we know how things worked. It was the way things are now. Like, I want to know who people have. How do you even find someone on the street that even does that now? Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. How do you find somebody who could take that kind of action, bro? The truth is, if I sat down, there's a casino in New York now, whatever, it's a little casino, no table bets or whatever. But if I sat down in that place with $4.5 million right now, it would be like, yo, we can't take this action, bro. We're a bullshit casino in Queens. You got to go to the Bellagio with that kind of paper. Okay, on the legal side. On the illegal side, bro, what kind of like crazy, it's like some Chinese, like, I don't even know. You ever see the movies, the Chinese gangsters, the dudes are like betting like 500K a bet in Mahjong? I'm like, I have no clue what level of person gets involved. But here's the thing, though. This is another thing that like gets me, right? Okay, so you have a street, some kind of illegal operation, whether it's street or not. It's obviously not in the street, but we say it like that, right?
Yeah.
But if you're somebody, like, if this guy, Mr. Ipe, is a degenerate gambler, how are you getting a line like that? Unless they know that Ohtani is either involved or Ohtani is good for it. Because, yo, you know this, degenerate gamblers do not get lines, bro. No DJs going to their shy and being like, yo, I need, $50K to go gambling. No, it's not even like that. The only people who get a line is somebody who is a baller or a big-time gambler like Ohtani. Yeah, okay, you'll get a line. Okay, some big-time gambler that sits down at the Bellagio at the Mahjong table with $1 million, that dude will get a line if he's cracked open by midnight, he wants to play more. Okay, but some DG gambler, and everything points that this dude was on some level a degenerate gambler. So again, if that's your story, that you're a degenerate gambler, how are you getting that kind of line unless the people behind it are like, yo, that's Shohei Ohtani's boy. He's good. He may have presented the bets like, yo, this is Shohei's money. Shohei's putting this bet down. He's a soccer head. He likes this. I'm just speculating. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying, based on how it looks, you tell me if he's really the degenerate gambler he says he is, that they're going to be like, yeah, okay, you're going to end up with 4.5K, a line like that, and you're going to end up stuck for that much money. I don't believe that for 1 minute, bro.
First of all, if the dude who is taking the bets would have to be a straight idiot to take the bets without meeting Shohei or getting the okay from him.
That you just nailed it, bro. 1,000,000%. Nobody's giving you that kind of like.
Yeah,
that's it. Unless they know.
Unless he came and said, "Yo, listen, like here's a check, or here's take this for, take this, and we got more behind it or something like that," because it doesn't make sense. What are you saying? Yo, I'm Shohei's man. Or even if it doesn't make sense. Like we listen, we know people that were basketball players. We know people that were musicians that had huge money. We've been around people like that, so we know how that works, right? But if you're not getting fully co-signed with the person, it's different saying, yo, that's my man, or different saying, yo, my man's right here. Like, you know what I mean? It's two different things. So I don't see how the logic of someone that's going to put that much money, out there, that's just going to take, just because he knows that he runs with Ohtani? Because it's not like, I don't know, but that's my main point, is that if he didn't meet Ohtani, or Ohtani didn't say, yo, we're good, then how's that possible for that type of number?
Yeah, no, I agree. And then, here's another thing, and shout out to Mike Francesa, a legend in radio and sports and all this stuff for years. And I was listening to his podcast, and he said he said on his show, and he made up a lot of some unbelievable points. Some of them that we kind of like went over, the more common sense ones. But he said that Major League Baseball is investigating, but the feds are not investigating. LAPD is not investigating, and California State Police are not investigating. So I've heard stories that, oh yeah, the feds are getting involved in this and that. You know, when you heard Ohtani's throwing a guy under the bus or whatever, saying he stole my money and that it's theft. But from what Mike Francesa said, as of yesterday, okay, the feds are not involved, the police are not involved, only MLB is involved. And as you alluded to before, there's no way MLB is going to just roast Ohtani and just give him the Manny Ramirez treatment and just get rid of him. That's just not going to happen, bro. It's not going to happen.
No, I mean, if this was somebody like, all right, here's another point. Did you hear about the kid from the Raptors, the basketball dude who put these prop bets in himself, right? Now,
what's that kid's? I was watching a doc on that kid yesterday. That is incredible. The under.
So he put the under in those games he got sick or he got hurt. So basically he put the under for like, under 1 3-pointer. But he got hurt like in 2 minutes, like, yo, my leg hurts. So like, yo, I don't feel good. So he knew the under was good because he didn't finish the game. You know what I'm saying? Like that is, bro, that's
wild.
That's crazy. Dude. Because like what's crazy about that is you're doing that on like a site. Like it's all documented. Like because like who's betting on this kid? He's like he's not that like a well-known player. But like when I look at stuff like that, like that's a dude that they might just banish because he's not a star. The game, the NBA, it doesn't even matter if he's gone. But when we're talking about one of the biggest faces, not just in baseball, but in sports, one of the most listen, Ohtani's going to go down as one of the most legendary players just for the fact that no one was ever like him. I mean, in terms of like, listen, you had Babe Ruth and I know, but to be that good pitching and hitting, it's just like, it's like a Bo Jackson thing where, you're a Hall of Fame pitcher and a Hall of Fame hitter. Bo was a Hall of Fame baseball player and a Hall of Fame football player if he wouldn't have got hurt. So when you're at that level, and on top of it, he's a good-looking guy. He's got everything. He's in his prime. Like, what can you find out from before this? Ohtani was like gold, right? He's got everything that you could possibly want, right? He's playing in LA. You know what I'm saying? Like, MLB, there's no way. There's no way. The only way that this could be a bad thing is if the feds get involved. You know what I'm saying? Because then MLB, there's nothing for them to do. It's done for them. You know what I mean?
Well, an interesting point that Mike Francesa made was that the feds haven't gotten involved because there's no crime perceived to be committed. Now that's kind of interesting because if there's no crime, that means the feds just think, well, Ohtani may have paid this money off. But as you know, sometimes with cases, Fed cases, they have what are called unindicted co-conspirators. We see this a lot with the old mob cases where there'll be people that were involved, but the feds didn't have enough to bring a case to them. And they tried to bring it, and they're just peripheral people that were involved. They're in the court papers and everything, but they're not indicted. Now, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's kind of like, when Full Tilt Gambling got caught out there about 10 or 12 years ago, the feds didn't go after the gamblers. They went after the operators.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the same thing with this. Now, bro, because this is a perfect segue into this. All right. And to maybe some truth. Okay. Now, my question, and maybe the biggest question I have is, how did this come to light? Because the original story was that ESPN, I believe Tisha Thompson, I believe that's her name, that's been just doing a bang up job with this. I believe that's her name. But she had an interview the day before, or rather the day of the game in Seoul, Korea, the opening day. Okay. And in that interview, as most people watching this probably know, Mr. Ippei said, yeah, I got into gambling debt. Shohei Ohtani paid it off. Now, here's the question that I have. We can go into what happened in the locker room and the team meeting and then the statement by the owner of Dodgers, and then the statement by Ohtani. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to go back to the original thing. She had an interview with this man. My question to you, Joe, is why? Now, my guess is that somehow the person that's running this operation has been indicted. You know, they got a RICO case against the dude running it. Okay. Now, that may have come to light. Somehow ESPN, got wind of that. So she may have stepped to him and been like, what is the deal? And he might have said, all right, let me come clean right now before this is crazy. He apparently told the Dodgers. It's kind of insane because the Dodgers, they had this meeting with him where the owner of the Dodgers already believed the story. He was like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Shohei paid your debts off. But then the next day that changed. I don't want to get into what happened because that's all like speculation. People saying what Shohei said. He didn't understand what was going on in the meeting. The dude speaks English as far as I'm concerned. So I don't want to get into that. I don't want to, but what I'm saying is, I think that they got wind of the case. They talked to him. That was the truth. And then Shohei's people were like, yo, hold up, dude. You know what I mean? The phone rang in Japan, was like, yo, what's going on with this dude? You better go, somebody better take care of this kid. Because there's no way, bro. There's no way that story changes like that. Because who would steal that money? You're telling me that the interpreter's like, yeah, say he has access. Okay, just let's say he has access somehow. You're telling me he's just going to steal 4.5 mil like that? Like, yeah, I have access to my dude's thing. I just stole 4.5 mil. Each time I stole 500K from him 9 times. And he didn't notice?
Joe, how does it make sense? The guy's getting paid $500,000 to just roll out with this guy. He's living a dream, bro. He's got the best job in the friggin' world. Like, let's just be real. How can you have a better job than that? You're running with the best player in baseball. All you got to do is sit there and talk. What do you got to do? It doesn't make sense. Why? And even if he is a degenerate, you know what I'm saying? I just don't understand how Ohtani would ever risk his career if he knew that. Like, it doesn't add up. Why would this guy be on the biggest stage? You know what I'm saying? And Japanese people, players, they're very, very, they're respectful, bro. They come from a different place. They were taught and raised and brought up different in life and in sports and in everything. Why would he go to one of the biggest, probably one of the best teams in the last 10, 15 years, the Dodgers right now, multiple Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, a team that could win 110 games, could be a dynasty for the next 5 years. Why would Ohtani, if he knew, why would he risk that? Why? You know what I'm saying? These are the questions that I, just where my brain goes, why? So, we don't have the answers. We don't know. I feel like everything kind of slowed down, but that's where I'm at right now with this whole thing, because we haven't heard anything else. Yeah, Ohtani went up and he talked and he said a few things, but what did that do? You know what I'm saying? Anybody could have wrote that for that man and just said, read this, say this, and bye-bye. So.
No, absolutely. Someone, once his people got involved, the blame shifted, and then it became, this theft thing, which I find, when you're talking about theft of that much money, the only way you can steal that much money is you are stealing it from someone's bank account. How are you going to steal $4.5 million? So that's odd to me.
But how is that not a crime, though? They're saying there's no crime have happened. So what? Just because if he did that and Ohtani said it's okay and he paid it off, then everything goes away? Is that really where it is?
Well, yeah, that's a good point, because if somebody got popped in New York City and they were like, wow, this guy, he has $4.5 million wired to this guy, the feds would knock on my door, and no matter what I told them, they'd say, that's nice, turn around.
Exactly.
Right? If I was like, oh, I was paying off my boy's thing, they say, that's good, turn around, I'm going to read you your rights, talk to your attorney. Or if I said, yo, I don't know anything about it, the feds would literally say, I don't care, it came out of your bank account, doesn't matter. And then, whatever happens, happens. It's like if I have a registered firearm and I lend it to my interpreter and he does something irresponsible with that firearm, 1,000%, I'm going to be held responsible for that. So when you're talking about a federal wire transfer to an illegal bookmaking operation, bro. So I honestly believe that Ohtani, and this is just my gut. I'm just speculating, but I think Ohtani's a good dude. I don't think Ohtani's a gambler. I don't think he's a degenerate gambler. I think the guy's just so into baseball. He's just, this is what it is. I personally don't believe he's a gambler. I believe he's a good guy. And I believe that this is his boy. And, it's hard to put in perspective because we don't know what it's like to go to another country. Like, this is his boy. He hangs out with him every day. He speaks his language. He eats his food. He knows the customs of Japan. He knows their culture. And like, there aren't that many other guys in MLB. There aren't that many Japanese people. Like, yeah, there's a ton of Japanese people in America, but how many of them are Shohei Ohtani going to go hang out with? Like his age, like, oh, let me go hang out with some random Japanese dude. It's not like that. So like this guy and him probably have a really strong bond. I think Shohei's a good dude. I think he was like, listen, dude, whatever, just pay it off. Because you look at it in perspective, like that's the only thing that makes sense. I feel like he's a good dude. He wanted to get his friend off, but now his people are like, yo, dude, listen to me. You're about to, I'm not going to use an expletive. You're about to screw up the biggest potential baseball player in history, which is you. You're about to destroy that with their biggest taboo that there is. I mean, dudes in MLB punch their wives in the face. They get caught doing all types of shit. But if you gamble on baseball, you are banished from baseball, dude. It's a whole thing. We don't need to go into that history. There are reasons why, I get it, to maintain the purity of the game. But, for Ohtani, the face of baseball, to be involved with their number one taboo, bro, I think he was probably paying it off. And if that's the case, I mean, he should be banned for like a year at the very minimum. I'm just going to say that, just to be fair. And if it's found out that Ohtani, but we'll never find out. But if it's found out,
that's what I was just going to say.
He needs to be banned for life.
But that's what I was just going to say. We're not going to find that out. Yep. Not unless it's someone who's credible that comes forward, that they have, because now with like you said, with ESPN, with TMZ, with all, like, Major League Baseball could only do so much. But if somebody physically came out, you know what I'm saying, and said something or proved something, there's really no way that they can hide from that. So, for Ohtani's sake, for baseball's sake, they hope that never happens. And if it doesn't, then it will probably go away.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have very little faith in Rob Manfred in anything. I mean, not even a hobby thing. I mean, the Fanatics has been an absolute disaster. The cards, the uniforms, the cheating scandal. One of the things Rob Manfred said when he became commissioner was he's going to embrace technology and utilize it to better the game. And as you were supposedly doing that, making up stupid rules, dudes were cheating with technology. So, I mean, listen, I'm not going to get into the Astros thing. I don't care.
But we could get into this new obstruction rule, which is horrifying. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I hope that was just a bad call and a bad read by that umpire. If everybody doesn't know what we're saying, is there was a spring training with Lindor from the Mets. He was in front of the bag or whatever. I mean, listen, baseball's been around 100 years, 100 and whatever years, 150 years. Listen, there's no place in baseball for you to change obstruction rules. I mean, I get what they did with the catcher and all that to save, people getting injured, but I still feel like baseball's baseball. If there's a play at the plate, there's a play at the plate. But now when you're starting to, guys steal the second, you can't have your foot in front of the bag. I mean, come on, man. Like, I really hope that call in spring training, like, was something where, like, the people in Major League Baseball who do have the brains were like, all right, I know we moved that rule around, but we can't do that, because you can't do that, because you can't do that. You can't. Baseball's it's an instinct game. You're not when it's a bang bang play. You're not looking where your foot is. You're not looking where, you get what I'm saying. This is not like a robot. This is like, it happens. Your leg moves. The ball's this way. Anybody that played baseball knows it's all instinct, and every second of the game it happens like this, and you got to make a move. So you can't make rules like that. That's just crazy, man. Like I really, really hope as a diehard baseball fan that was just like a mistake, and we don't see that in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more with that. To me, that's an absurd rule. We've gone from baseball being this unbelievable game where it's not just about athleticism, it's about skill, it's about nuance, it's about subtleties, and once in a while it's a contact sport. That was the beauty. Baseball, you could be a little guy and get on base and steal bases and be a valuable dude. But if you tried to run into that catcher, man, you may think twice. You might want the number 4 hitter or the number 5 hitter to run into the catcher. And that was the one aspect of baseball. Actually, there were two. That was, the play at the plate where you defended the plate. It's like the end zone. Like, really, you want it? Go run into Mike Scioscia, bro. Go run into Johnny Bench. Go run into these big dudes. There's a reason why catchers are big guys, And then going from first to second, we went from the extremes of Joey Bell and Vidros. I mean, listen, dude, whatever. That was insane. I call him Joey Bell.
But Bell didn't get thrown out of that game.
He didn't get thrown out. And we went, Joe, we talked about this. There are games on YouTube where you could watch where the Yankees and the Royals slug it out. And then you guys done? You done with this? All right, cool. Let's finish the game because I want to go back to the hotel.
But Joe, hold on. Keep your point. It was the same thing when we were in school. If we got into a fight in school, they say you go back to your seat on this side of the classroom and you go on that side of the classroom, and then it's done. Nowadays, they call the police, your parents, you get thrown out, get arrested. It was different. It was police different. And that's why we grew up a different way, and that's why we're the way we are. But I get it. Times change, everything changed, but it's still baseball. You know what I'm saying? It's still a game. It's part of the game. It is what it is. You can't start changing. Listen, I'm not mad at the pitch clock and all that. At first, I didn't like it, but the game, it does move faster. I'm cool with it. Certain things I'm cool with. But when you start rearranging, like putting a guy at second base, or like saying you can't slide here, or like that, then it just be like, that's just, it's too much. And I know Manfred, I know his mind but sometimes I feel like having that old school guy, you know what I mean? Like when we had Bud Selig and those dudes were old school dudes, man. I just feel like now, I don't know. I don't think Manfred, listen, I don't like knocking people because I don't want to be that dude, but like there's nothing that when I see Manfred that I'm like, yeah, yo, he's I support this owner. There's nothing behind him that I feel like he's there for like to be the face and to make money. I don't feel like he's there to take the game to the next level. Whatever his next level is, ain't the level that I'm talking about. I mean, like to keep the game, to take the game to the next level, but still keep it the way it was.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, my issue with a lot of the new rules is how quickly they've put them in. It's one thing to say, all right, let's try this in AAA for a couple of years, not just a year. Oh, that's cool. We did it in AAA. Now we're going to bring it into the major leagues. I have a problem with the second base runner, the ghost runner. I have a problem with that in the extra innings game. You're ruining baseball. You're ruining memories. I want to see the backup catcher pitching. I want to see a shortstop, whatever pitching. I love that. That's the beauty of baseball. You get rid of those kind of things with all that. I know people want robot umps and all that stuff. If they were just stricter with some of these umps that did a bad job and just got rid of them right away, it'd be different. Most umps are pretty good. They do a good job, especially at the plate. It's the truth. If you look, most umps are pretty decent. Yeah. It's a job, but I'm not, there's just too many things about the game now that, like we were talking about watching women's softball. It's just a much funner game to watch right now. They play like baseball, fundamental, like, I'll poke something, oppo, move the runner to third, whatever. Like these girls are splitting the outfielders, hitting stuff in a gap. Like it's just nice to see that, like people, and it's fast pitching and there's tremendous skill involved. Some of the fielding plays are incredible. And, with baseball now, it's like, we could beat the dead horse of guys. I want to have a high OPS. I don't care if my batting average is low, as long as I have a high OPS, because that's what pays the bills. High WAR. I saw some lunacy the other day on, on Baseball Reference, and these guys, they put a player next to two players and they show the WAR. It was like Jim Thome is better than Tony Gwynn. Like I get it. Jim Thome hit a lot of bombs. I love Jim Thome. I think he's the man. But dude, I'm taking Tony Gwynn all day. The most important thing you can do as an offensive player is to hit the ball. There's nobody who knows more about hitting in our generation other than like Ichiro. Before that was Tony Gwynn, bro. And like Don Mattingly, Wade Boggs, Rod Carew. You know what I'm saying? Like just contact hitters, bro. It's a dying thing. And that's the one thing about baseball that I really don't like, man. Luis Ariz, this kid's hitting like 330. He's smacked. Nobody cares. It's like, bro, whatever.
He was hitting almost 400 and nobody cared. Halfway through the season. What I do have to say though is I start, you start watching, you hearing managers talk and hitting coaches talk, and they're starting to like realize that like the game needs to go back. And listen, everybody's not going to go back to what it was. You're going to have guys that just swing. But when you start hearing like Giancarlo Stanton and like, and some guys saying, hey, I want to do a shorter swing. I want to lose a little weight. I want to get more, and then you start thinking like these guys are probably, especially I like the Yankees' new hitting coach, this kid Rowson. He's got Volpe. Volpe was, doing like uppercut swings, and now he's just got, use your power to right field, use your power to right field. And it's like, I like that, you're starting to hear that because I think the game, people see like, that's not the game. Like, that's not how you're going to, like, that's not, baseball is not strikeout home run. We don't sit there for 9 innings. There's a lot of fans, people that are not baseball fans that can't watch a baseball game. It takes a diehard fan to sit there. I could sit there and watch 9 innings of the Pirates and the Cardinals. I don't mind. I just love baseball. But you want to see real baseball. When we were young, you had the leadoff guy. You had, the next guy up was the contact guy. Then you had 3, 4, and 5. Then you had 6, 7. The 8th and 9th guys bunting, and they probably hit 210, but they could feel good. And it was a different game, and you knew you knew what everybody could do. You knew the 4 and 5 guys might strike out, but you knew the 7, 8, 9, and 1, 2 guys were contact hitters. And I think now, you got guys that are hitting 8th and 9th, and they're hitting 15 home runs, but they're batting 180, and it's all right. And that's not, but I do have faith in the game that I think people are seeing that, like, this is not what baseball is, and we have to like get back to that contact, stealing bases, doing those things. So I'm hopeful, what I'm saying? I want to see how this year is, but I'm hearing a lot, during spring training and hearing like the hitting coaches now are going back to that old school approach.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And, I do like the new stats. I like any information that'll give you a better and clearer idea of what's happening on the baseball diamond. But sometimes people just take it to levels that are absurd. I saw somebody on Twitter talking about how Ricky Henderson, because he got caught so many times, he actually was not a good baseball player. Like things like that, where it's like you're taking the emotion out of it. You're looking at it statistically. When you steal a base, when you're a pitcher and someone steals a base on you, that gets to you. A walk is not the same as a hit, bro. A strikeout, I'm sorry, a walk is not the same as a hit. I know they tell you that ever since you're a little league to whatever, but a walk's not the same as a hit. A hit rattles a pitcher. A walk, a pitcher could be like, man, it's umpire, man. He should have given me that call. Okay? A strikeout is not the same as a pop out. This is the way they look at it. Dude, listen, you play baseball. We were growing up. I play baseball. Dude, when somebody's ahead of you and they get whiffed, that's a different situation where, okay, the guy just popped out. This dude just got whiffed by some big kid that's probably 21. We're like 16. Some kid's throwing some heat in high school. You're just like, hold up. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different idea. This whole idea to walk same as, I don't want to get into all that, but the idea, the way they look at everything is like, whoa, he got caught so many times. Yeah, Ricky got caught so many times, but how many times did he rattle pitchers? He rattled catchers. He rattled the first baseman. He psyched up everybody in the dugout. He psyched up the guy at home plate. You're at bat. Ricky Henderson steals a freaking base. Now an RBI is easier for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just the whole thing.
Ricky changed. Listen, imagine what he did to a pitcher. If you got to throw, just say Ricky walked or he got a hit after like 8, 9 pitches, and then he got to throw over to first about 4 times, and then when he's at second, he's got to try to throw over and watch. Bro, he just wasted about 20 throws just on one batter. Like, yep. That's what Ricky did. And all of a sudden, if Ricky walked, he got to sit. He stole second. He went to third, sack fly, he scores. And you're like, what did I do? And the pitcher's like, I pitched. I just did great. Like, but this guy scored a run. And you just and like you just said, that rattles his brain. He's like, yo, I'm pitching so good, and this guy just scored a run. Like, that Ricky Henderson was the all-time mind destroyer of a pitcher. Like, and pitchers will say it. Like, when I knew Ricky was on his game, you just knew what you were going to get. You knew it was going to be an easy day. You had to deal with Ricky all day. And Ricky didn't care, because if it was 6-1 and they were down in 8, he's going. He's still in second and third. He doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Oh, well. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely crazy how some people, like when they'll look at the wins above replacement and they're using all these crazy, metrics to guess this whole number for a player. And then it's like, well, this guy was better than this dude. If you look at this guy's season, he was better than this guy. And it's so hard. I can see when somebody hits a home run, I know what they did. They hit a home run. I don't care what ballpark they did it in. I don't care if it was against a lefty or a righty. He hit a home run off a big league pitcher, and it's in the stands. Okay. We try to interpret stuff too much, too many things. Defensive runs saved. Are you telling me that you really know how many runs? So you can't. Nobody can tell you how many runs were actually saved defensively. Ultimate zone, all that stuff. You cannot tell exactly how many runs were actually saved. That's not what it is. So you start putting metrics like that into this bigger equation to come up with a number, you're going to have problems. And that's the problems with wins above replacement. I mean, I do like the idea of it. Maybe it needs more fine tuning, but the fact that, you're using certain metrics for players because the technology was available, and then you're not using them for these older players. I mean, it's just kind of insane.
Joe, but here's the bottom line with anything. If I watched a player play his whole career and you're a younger kid that you're just looking at the stats, I don't want to talk to you, because I watched him play. I watched him play every game. Like, especially with the Yankees or guys, you can't tell me anything about, because I watched him play. You can't pull stats out if you don't watch the man play. When my uncle used to tell me that Dick Allen had one of the best arms and he hit the ball the hardest than any play, I would be like, okay, I respect. I didn't see him play, but you did. So if you're saying that, then you have the right to say it. You know what I'm saying? I can't say. So if somebody's going to tell me about Derek Jeter and you're 23 years old, bro, I watched him play since he was 18, 19 years old, every single game. So you're going to tell me this, you didn't even see him. See, that's where I lose it. Now, if someone our age wants to go, and then we can have a conversation. But if you're going to use a stat on Baseball Reference and you've never seen someone play, I don't even want to it doesn't even count. I don't even want to listen to you.
No, I agree 100%. Like a lot of times you'll see the Jeter haters on all the baseball card boards and all this stuff. And it's just like, you look at their profile and it's like a young kid. And it's, the comment's always the same. Oh, he was a horrible fielder. It's like, dude, I don't even know what to say to look, again, I will say this a million times. Derek Jeter was not one of the greatest defensive shortstops. He was certainly not Omar Vizquel or Ozzie Smith or Aldrin Simmons or any of those guys. But the baseball IQ is off the charts. The guy was 6th all time in hitting. So, yeah, some runs got by him. I mean, whatever. Again, I never said the guy was the greatest fielder ever, but the idea that he was a terrible fielder,
that's just great.
Below average fielder, based on these metrics that, again, I'm not going to go into why these metrics are not perfect, but people can go and Google what are the cons and pros and cons with ultimate zone rating and defensive runs saved. I mean, first of all, you're only taking half of Jeter's career. You didn't see his career when he was younger. You don't know what he did. To me, it's just too crazy. When you're looking at something as diverse and as just huge as baseball, a lot of stats are good. Like doctors don't say, okay, let's take this patient and just get this one score and see how he's doing. No, a doctor's like, let's take all these different things into what does he eat? Does he exercise? Does he or she, have genetic issues? Did they have a childhood? Whatever. You look at all these things and you're making, just this idea that it's boiled down to one stat, and then to say, Derek Jeter. I mean, how could you be all time? How could you be 6th in hits of all time when like 24,000 people have played baseball? It's literally like 99%. Derek Jeter has more hits than 99% of people that have ever played baseball. That's a fact. Harold Baines probably has like 98.7% more hits than anyone's ever played. Like you had 2,800 hits in baseball. That is incredible, bro. Even 2,000, it's like it's no joke. You get 2,000, 1,000 big league hits is no joke. But 1,500, 1,800. Remember, Mantle only had like 24 and change. But you know, so it's just a crazy thing. But getting back to what we were talking about in the beginning, bro, I really hope that at some point people start to value the lanes and the roles. Like, you know, it's okay to be a guy who leads off, who's a smaller dude who can get on, steal bases, to be a shortstop or a second baseman. It's all right to be a big dude to play first base. Not everybody has to be jacked. Not everybody has to have this. You know, baseball is just getting to be over specialized to me. That's really the problem where they want everybody to be like a slugger. You know, there's a reason why a guy like the size of David Ortiz or Jim Thome is not a shortstop, bro. There's no Jim Thome guys at shortstop. There's no David Ortiz guys at shortstop. There are no Giancarlo Stanton guys at shortstop. Why? You need to be smaller. Smaller guys are usually faster, and in that regard, they're more athletic. Let them live in that lane. Like we were talking about, yo, a kid hits 280, but he's a ridiculous shortstop. Who cares, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like nowadays, it's all A-Rod. I blame him. I love A-Rod, but dude, he came about. It's like this guy's a legend. He's a great defensive player. He's hitting bombs. He's hitting for averages, wars, all that, all the crazy stats. But it's just the thing. He's an anomaly, bro. A-Rod is a freaking anomaly, dude. That guy is literally one of the GOATs, bro. And you got to let people live in their lane. You got a Volpe, let him live in the lane. You know, you got a Giancarlo Stanton, let him DH. You got a DJ, let him play in the infield. You know, let these guys play the lane they are. That's my main problem with this dude. Last year, the last couple of years, I don't think the Yankees have had the same lineup twice. To your point, you know what I'm saying, guys? You're a 789 hitter. I don't care if you're batting 250. You're a 789 hitter. Yeah, that's beautiful. But guys are batting 200, 180. I don't know, bro. We could go on with it.
That whole thing is. I mean, there's still managers that keep the same lineup, but like, yeah, with the Yanks, they don't do. Boom doesn't do that. I miss that in baseball when you knew who was the leadoff, you knew who was the 9 hitter, your 3rd hitter was your best hitter, your 2nd was your contact. Like that's baseball to me, and I don't think that should ever be changed. There's no reason for it to be changed because there's all, like you said, there's certain guys on the team who crush balls. There's certain guys on the team who you know that you're just going to get a clutch hit. And it's all right. Like you said, everybody doesn't have to be Acuna. Everybody doesn't have to be Julio Rodriguez. There's only a few of those guys. I don't like that the guys that are not as talented, you know, that are trying to be this guy, I'm going to still try to hit 30 home runs. Yo, you don't need to. You can stay in the majors just by being a good outfielder. You know, Look at Trent Grisham. We got the kid from San Diego. Yo, he's in the league. I mean, he could hit home runs, but he's in the league because he's an elite defender. You know, he could. You put him in an 8th inning, and he's going to make every play. And there's nothing wrong with that. There was guys a whole life that were just great fielders or great, you know, whatever, or guys that you know that were clutch hitters or great pinch hitters. There was guys back in the days, Pat Tabler and different guys that were just like dudes that hit 400 or 500 pinch hitting. Like, hey, if you could do something, and that's what's great about sports, bro. In any sport, that's why you look at the champions and everybody played their position. When the Bulls won, Steve Kerr just hit threes. You know, Rodman got rebounds, Jordan scored, and Pippen did everything. And it's like they won. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just play your position in any sport, do it, and it's okay. Like you just said, it's all right. Everybody can't be this guy and that guy. But baseball, bro, baseball's baseball. And listen, when you are able to just play the game the right way, man, there's no better sport in the world.